Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Do you realize that, and this sounds a little bit morbid this morning, death, they've done a complete study on this. Death is the number one killer in the world today. And good health is merely the slowest possible rate at which one can die. Just thought I'd throw that out. Good morning, everybody, and welcome, Zeb at the Ranch. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning, good morning. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and of course some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Locally owned and operated. Call them at 734-6969, and of course Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything, I mean everything, for the farm, the home, and the ranch. Right now, let's take a little meander over to the phone system and say good morning to our Pledge of Allegiance caller. Good morning, come on in.
Nobody has called in for the pledge.
Oh, they have. You're wrong. It's you.
Get me every time. All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy, Wheels. All right. It is time for the weather forecast. And I talked to Whitney Cheney on the phone yesterday, and she is such a wonderful lady. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-6945. Hey, Friday night, May 1st, they're going to have their girls' night out to learn all about more crafts and everything. You better give a call, 678-6945. And they've got all the carpet and flooring and the kitchen construction, home decor needs, whatever you need to make your house a home. And she's also got some really interesting tips. Pull your furniture away from the wall, and it gives the illusion of having bigger rooms. It does. It works. All right, there you go. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. And right now, we're going to look for our weatherman. Good morning, Michael Rogers.
Well, good morning. It's going to be another sunny day all the way through the week, and now you're going to stay in the 70s, and that's about it. I would love to sit up here and take up a lot of your time to tell you how sunny it's going to be, but it's going to be quite a bit sunny. The daytime highs will be in low to mid-70s all the way through Sunday. Portraits, senior portraits. Mother's Day is coming up. Yours truly is also coming up to see my son, so we can watch the new movie Avengers while I'm there if you're interested in photographic services. You can get a hold of Zeb at the studio, or you can get a hold of me at 702-250-2114. Look forward to coming back up to the Magic Valley of South Central Idaho. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
Attaboy, Michael. Looking forward to seeing him. And brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. And I'll tell you what, they've got it all over there for you. What a wonderful store, and so helpful, too, at Cheney Flooring and Home Design in Burley. Look for the blue door. Really good, folks. Oh, my, we got a lot of of things going on here today, and I'm very blessed. We have Dave Bego from Indianapolis. We're going to have Bert Stevenson, former representative, talking about the water problems. We're going to have a gentleman that I'm very, very proud to have back on the program this morning, Owen Strachan, talking about the persecution of Christians in our United States. And then an old friend of mine, a former United States representative for the state of New York, and he's on Fox News every week with the political insiders, and that's John LeBoutelier, and I really enjoy John. So we got a full plate here today on Zeb at the Ranch. Also want to remind you, Minidoka County will be having their annual boat inspection day on Saturday, May 16th, looks like from 8 to 5 p.m., and that's going to be held at Lake Walcott. And admission to the park is, I almost said something I shouldn't have. Admission to the park is free. Woo! Watch your tongue, boy. Deputies will be on hand for boat safety and boat inspections. So in other words, if they put your boat in the water and it goes out of sight like mine did, it's not very safe. Okay? Don't forget that. Hey, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They've got light bulbs here, light bulbs there, light bulbs, fluorescent lights, all the different sizes, the ballast and the repair parts. And don't forget, they've got all your venting, wiring, and repairing and heating parts, everything at Ramsey Heating and Electric. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, the number to call. Have your order waiting for you. 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide. I got the hiccups all of a sudden. Deanne, what do I do for hiccups? And don't tell me to hold my breath. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. There, we got through it. Oh, and by the way, Mandy called, and Deanne took down the information over at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. They've got lots and lots of chickens. Now, Deanne, are these the little chicks they've got? And they're running all over the store. They've got all the feed, the housing, anything you need for your chickens, all your 4-H needs, everything. And of course, they got a brand new shipment of lots more of the fishing gear for their fishing department at Valleywide Home and Ranch. And by the way, Eric had told us that they're planning on having that antique tractor show in Rupert at Valleywide on June 19th and 20th, and you got to get your entries in for the antique tractor show. There's going to be prizes, trophies, everything at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Going to be a lot of fun. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline. I don't know if you caught this, folks, but this is really important. Last night and through this morning, some very, very articulate and very powerful black voices are stepping up and giving a challenge to other blacks to stop the pity party and pull yourselves up by your own bootstraps and do something. This has been long overdue. And you know what? The same speech could be used for whites, Mexicans. It doesn't make any difference who. It could be used for all of us. And one boy in particular, he's about 28, 29 years old. Very articulate, very forceful and powerful, and basically told it like it was. Make something of yourself. Don't depend on others. And don't depend on the government. And it was so refreshing to listen and see this kind of a message going out to, in this particular case, the black neighborhood in Baltimore, Maryland. But all the way from the black former football player for the Baltimore Ravens, linebacker Ray Lewis, all the way to this young man, that this thing has gone on YouTube, it's gone on Twitter, it's gone all over. Blacks are getting a necessary pep talk from blacks. If you're offended by that, turn the dial right now and listen to Barry Manilow. I don't care. Blacks needed this. And they need to get up and get motivated and study their options, use the talents God's given them, and get to work or get to school. Plain and simple. And again, that message could be used by any and all of us. Stop the whining and the complaining. Stop standing in the street and doing nothing but causing problems. Get to work. Get to school. Amen. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866. And wait a minute. There's something that's got to be added there. And the government, especially with President Obama, back in 2008, he was going to be the light shining on the hill, especially for the blacks, to do something, encouraging them, get off welfare, do this, do that. He hasn't done a doggone thing except exacerbate the problem. And hats off to this young man and Ray Lewis. I never liked Ray Lewis, but I compliment him for what he did and said. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I get a chance right now to talk about Denny's restaurant. Oh, the food is delicious. Whether you go in there for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you're going to love the menu. You're going to love the menu choices. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. And you're going to love the service. At 611 Overland in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, Denny's Restaurant. And don't forget, they have another Denny's now that they've opened up at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Absolutely. The best word is phenomenal. You're going to really enjoy your dining out at Denny's Restaurant. 611 Overland in Burley. Really nice people. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. That deal in Baltimore, I just was listening to the news, and Giuliani, I think it was, made the comment that Baltimore has been under Democrat rule for 40 years.
Yeah, since I think, what was it, 1939 or something like that?
Yeah, and if Democrats are the answer, if they know all the answers to all the problems, then why in the heck is there still problems in Baltimore? They've been there 40 years. They should have had it fixed by now.
Well, wait a minute, Doug. Be fair here. What about Los Angeles? What about San Francisco? What about Chicago? What about other major cities? New York? Doug, what party is in control?
Exactly. And if they're the answer to our problems, why is it not fixed? If they can't fix it in 40 years, they're not going to fix it.
Yeah, let's just take Chicago as an example. Caller number 2, stand by. Rahm Emanuel, boy, he must be doing a real good job in Chicago. It's a war zone.
It is. And have you noticed in Chicago where they have started allowing concealed carry, how the shootings have dropped?
Yeah, and people are scared to death. I was watching that interview the other night with many of the people on the South Side, and they are petrified, and they're going to take any measures they can just to exist and stay alive. But look at the major cities, and then, you liberal loonies out in the audience, then you tell me how it's working. How are your political aspirations of being Democrats leading the country out of the doldrums, how's it working for you?
That's my point exactly. That's my point. In 40 years, if they can't fix it in 40 years, they're not fixing it.
Amen.
They're adding to it to keep their voters.
Doug, appreciate it always when you call. Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Caller number 2, stand by. I'll be right there, I promise. I just got to pay some bills, and I got to talk about Berry Equipment and Rental. Hey, I got to tell you, they got a new guy. They got a new salesman. His name is Will Janes. No, not the cowboy, but he's the salesman. Will Janes, and he's a Magic Valley young man, Filer graduate, CSI graduate, and really knows all about Doosan, Bobcat, and Coyote. Woo, this guy is going to be ripping good. We're going to get him on the air so you can hear him and understand him and listen to him and all this kind of stuff in the next couple of days. But listen, Berry Equipment and Rental, they have all the equipment you need. Yep, they do, for all the jobs you need to get done. Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Berry Equipment and Rental with the new guy in town, the new sheriff in town, Will Janes with Berry Equipment and Rental. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. This is Jeff.
Yes, sir.
On this about the black people coming and talking to their community, that's wonderful. That's great. They need to do that. But the people that are out there in the streets, I don't know how you'd ever get them to do this, but they need to listen to these people and take it to heart that, we can be better than this. And I was watching the news this morning before I left for work, and I saw that mother that went out and grabbed her son and slapped him upside the head, get his attention and telling him, no, you don't, you get home and all this. There's the key right there.
Yes.
Is parenting, keeping the kids under control by the parents. Now, these black community figures, they help, but it all boils down to parenting.
Yeah,
and
Jeff.
If I'd have been, when I was that kid's age, if I'd have been out riding or causing trouble, I wouldn't have been able to sit down for a week.
Oh, my golly. I hate to think what would have happened if my German father would have got a hold of me. I mean, you'd have read about it probably on the obituary page.
But anyway, that's a good thing that some of these black spokesmen, you might say, that are trying to help their people, trying to wake them up, is great, but like I say again, it all boils down to parenting.
I agree, Jeff. I'll comment on this a little further. I got another call waiting. Stand by. Appreciate it, Jeff. God bless you, man. Thanks. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I just want to say this about the mom, and we'll continue on with that conversation. That the mother that grabbed her 16-year-old son and literally grabbed him by the sweatshirt and slapped him when he needed slapping. He needed a wake-up call. God bless her. And for all you mamby-pamby Spockish types out there, don't hit the child. Don't hit the child. You'll damage his psyche. Well, let me tell you something. The kid could have ended up dead. The mother did the right thing to get him off the street. God bless her. And all you pansy buffoons out there that are, don't touch the child. This kid needed a good whipping, and she gave it to him. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie, with a 21-year proven record of increasing yield and quality of all Idaho crops, speeding germination, reducing crusting, improving stand, stimulating root growth, and microbial activity. Penetron also saves on water expenses, too. Hey, Penetron, I choked. Penetron treated crops have a better root system that reduces stress for water and nutrients. Increase your crop's performance with a proven soil conditioner. Penetron by Maisie. Get the original, not the cheap imitations. And contact your crop advisor today about Penetron soil conditioner. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
How are you, my friend?
People out there are upset that the guardsmen were being fed and the children aren't getting their breakfast or whatever it was at school, because they're highly indignant that they might have to cook a meal for their kids. This is how dependent some people have gotten, even in an emergency.
Well, Tony, I want to talk to you about, you grew up in a tough surrounding, back in the Depression and everything. But, Tony, God bless that mother that was watching TV. She was in her house, and she was watching TV, and she thought she recognized one of the people that was out on the street throwing rocks at the cops, and she left the house, went out, got a hold of her son.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Woman of the Year, yeah.
Amen. Amen. I agree with you, Woman of the Year. And for all these bleeding heart liberals, and they're already coming out of the woodwork right now, or crawling out from underneath rocks, and they're saying, she struck her child. How terrible. You know what? That child needed to be struck, maybe more times than what she hit him, to get some sense knocked into the kid, and maybe he'll stay off the street, and maybe he'll amount to something.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd give that woman a hug if she was here right now. She really did something outstanding.
I agree. Tony, always good to hear from you, my friend. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Zeb.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, the criticisms already started about this mom. These people are sending emails and they're sending notices on their phones and everything. Oh, she's so terrible. She struck her son. Her son had put on black clothing and a black mask and a black backpack and had joined in taunting and trying to hurt the police by throwing rocks and bottles. And she went out there, got a hold of him, and let me tell you something. God bless her, and she should be, like Tony just said, Mother of the Year. She marched that kid towards the house, a whooping him and a cussing him, and I doubt seriously that kid's going to be out on the street causing trouble in the future. Mama said no. Let's not forget our friends at Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 336 South, 450 West DePaul. The number to call, 438-2485, and they can prune your trees. They can take the stumps out of the ground. They can put your sprinkler systems in and fix your old ones. I'm telling you what's got Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service the best. And they're looking for more help. They're so doggone busy, they need more people. There you go, job opportunities. Don't sit there on the couch eating bonbons. Get to work. Call him at Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 438-2485. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was so proud of the mom. I was so proud of some of the blacks stepping forward, and some of the black community went out on the street last night and stood in front of the police, but not eye to eye. They put their backs in front of the police, basically telling everybody else that wanted to cause trouble, you've got to go through us first to get to the police. That was really inspirational. The community basically said, all right, you thugs, you punks, you no good lowlifes, get out of town. In order to hurt the police, you're going to have to go through us first. Man, that was great. That was phenomenal. That a city and a community would come together and tell the lowlifes to get out of Dodge City. And you know, here's something else too. It has been proven that some of the troublemakers that were rioting and burning and looting, they're professional troublemakers. They were the same ones that were paid to be in Ferguson, Missouri. I'm not making this up. And quite frankly, if they can arrest any or all of them, put them in jail, throw away the key. These are the kind of vermin that are doing nothing but trying to tear America down. Nothing. And throw them in jail. Bread and water, if that. I do not have an ounce of human compassion for troublemakers and what's going on in this country. And do not call me if you're one of those liberal loons that thinks, oh, we've got to love them. Oh, we've got to put our arm around them. Oh, we've got to see things from their viewpoint. No, we don't. There's a right and a wrong. There's the law and there's morality. And these people are not showing that, and they should absolutely be moved from the scene. Calls are welcome. 43. Man, I bet you I've made a lot of people mad this morning. Good. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology. And I just absolutely believe in what Christine Pickup is doing, Doctor of Audiology, over at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And the number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. You know, hearing, we take it for granted. What'd you say, Martha? Well, then she repeats it, and we take it for granted. Deanne got really mad at me yesterday. Of course, it wasn't really all my fault. We were going to town, and the window on my truck was down on my side, and the wind was blowing in, and she's got a real soft voice, and I bet you I said, 37 times. But anyway, I do have a little bit of a hearing problem in my left ear, so maybe you're suffering from the same thing, and something can be done about it. Call Mount Harrison Audiology today. Get a hearing screening at 312-0957. Here now, the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. The European Union has authorized the use of more genetically modified food and feed amid a row over whether EU member states should be able to independently ban certain GM products. The EU's Executive Commission said last week that it has approved 10 GM foods, including strands of maize, soybean, and cotton, after they have been proved to be safe. 2 kinds of GM cut flours were also authorized. The European Bioindustries Association expressed satisfaction that the EU has finally decided to authorize imports of safe products. The EU and its member nations have been locked in a dispute over whether countries should be allowed to individually ban GM produce that EU institutions consider safe. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner. For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology with Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology, and the number to call for your hearing screening. Don't you put this off. You call her at 312-0957. Hey, by the way, don't forget, too, Sophie's Chatterbox on the Square, 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, what a bakery. Oh, my goodness, what a restaurant. Oh, my goodness, on Mondays we give away a half dozen cinnamon rolls if you can answer the right question. Oh, my goodness, it's great. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Delicious. There's the cow telling me to shut up and take a call. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Keith.
Hey, wouldn't it be appropriate if they put a perimeter around Baltimore, and if you can identify yourself as a citizen there, you leave immediately or you will be arrested?
Well, you know, I'm one of these guys that believes in the toughness that's necessary to curb the problem. The mayor of Baltimore made a tragic mistake. The first day this was starting to kind of fester up like a big bad sore pimple, she should have done something. She should not be elected again. She should be run out of politics. I put most of the blame on what happened on the mayor and her naive attitude and, quite frankly, her stupidity for not curbing this right in the beginning.
Well, you know, as soon as they called the governor, within 30 minutes, he had the National Guard ready to go.
Yeah.
And so the governor did everything he was supposed to do.
Yeah. No, Keith, go back to what we were talking about a little bit ago. It is a Democratic mayor. It is a Democratic-led council, and I am sick and tired. A Democrat. I'm sick and tired of giving appeasement to Democrats. They're not doing a very doggone good job of running cities.
Well, you know what's going to happen, man. These people all of a sudden are going to turn into Republicans, but they're dyed-in-the-wool Democrats. So you're going to have more of the same.
We will see. Keith, always good to hear from you. Say hello to your lovely wife. Have a great day, please.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Enjoy hearing from him. Hey, caller, I'll be right there. Got to remind you about our friends at, what the dickens did I do with that commercial? Hold on a second there, caller. I lost it. Here we go. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. You betcha. The lost is now found. 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I'm telling you, Nick and his staff, I mean like Jordan Anderson and the rest of the folks, this young man, absolutely great. Got a physical therapy degree from ISU. Also attended exercise science at BYU Provo. They know what they're doing. Let me tell you, they'll help you get back to being you. All the exercises, the sports medicine, the hydrotherapy pool, all these people are good at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Number to call is 678-1191. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Zebediah, how are you this morning?
Well, Rapid Robert, pretty good.
Good. I'm sitting out here to Malta. Beautiful Malta. Got to brand some calves today. But I'm just wanting to say we ought to give the cops in Baltimore some credit because they did exactly what they were told to do.
I have never
by the big old Obama.
I have never criticized the police in the situation. All I said was I criticized the mayor for her absolute stupidity in giving an order of restraint and stand down. That wasn't good for anybody. It was devastating for the city, and it created nothing but havoc. This mayor needs to be replaced.
Well, I think she's just a go-between between Barack Obama and the cops. But anyway, it's a bad, terrible situation from every angle you look.
I agree.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, sir. Well, I won't be having as much fun as you are out there branding cattle. I appreciate that, out in the fresh air. God bless you, Bob. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to tell you in just a minute about another very, very stupid decision. And this is just purely my opinion, but I'm going to tell you about it, and then I want you to call and tell me whether I'm right or wrong. Okay, we're going to discuss this in just a second. Hold on. Don't forget Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. And my buddy, Tim Vaughn. Hello, Tim. He's up and at 'em already this morning. 431-7314. That's the number to call for all your estimates on what you need built. That's right. Now, boy, they are busy right now putting up all kinds of grain bins for on-the-farm grain storage. They're an authorized dealer in Sioux Cup, Chief, Balin, and Nucor buildings. And, oh, by the way, they're building that beautiful brand new big dairy right here straight south of me in Murtaugh, the Funk Dairy, and they know what they're doing. They've got all the equipment, they got all the manpower, they've got everything to do the job A1. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. Call for your estimates and make a friend out of Tim Vaughn. He's a good old boy. 431-7314. That number again, 431-7314. Streamline Precision, the professionals building for you. All right, now you can criticize me if you want to on this. The field is wide open for you to run right at me. I think it was absolutely one of the dumbest decisions I've ever heard in my life for the Baltimore Orioles baseball team to be allowed to play the game today in Baltimore with the Chicago White Sox, but nobody is allowed in the stadium. I am not making this up. The last two games, home games, were canceled, and it's obvious because of the city unrest and the National Guard and armed police and everything else. They were having a problem. But today, why in the world concede to the problem? Why not utilize this as a coming together for the community? Why not utilize this as a, hey, the trouble's over, the good guys won, the community took back their community, and we're not going to let the thugs run us out of Dodge City. No. They went ahead and said to the Orioles, yeah, you can have your game with the Chicago White Sox, but no people. This is absolutely the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. It's not fair. It's a decision that's going to hurt a lot of people. It's going to hurt the ticket holders that were possibly planning on a trip to the Camden Yards and attending a baseball game from out of the area. They might never have another chance. It's going to hurt all the fans. It's going to hurt the concession people. They are going to go without any income because they're not allowed to sell anything because there won't be anybody in the seats. Nobody's going to be at that game. And it's hard on the athletes, too. I know as a former athlete that, boy, you look up in the stands and nobody's there and you go, oh, boy, this is really fun. And this is a decision that I think they will live to regret. They should have just told the National Guard and the police department, no, we're going to have that game today. We're going to show unity in our city. We're going to show unity in this area. We're going to show that we're better than the bad. And we're going to go ahead and play that game. But to cancel it and say, well, they can play the game, but nobody in the stands, that is as lunatic as I've ever heard in my life. What are your thoughts? Give me a call. I don't care if you're a baseball fan or not. It's just common sense. This is not common sense. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, don't you sit there. There's a penalty for sitting there, and we'll have to have your check in the mail. Give me a call. Hurry up. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, don't forget Mother's Day is right around the corner. Yep. I tell you what, folks, it's no secret. I sure miss my mom, and Mother's Day, a very special day. And the Drift Inn at 545 545 F Street in Rupert is going to have some very, very special menu items. Prime rib, finger steaks, butterfly shrimp, chicken cordon bleu. And it's going to be a very special day, May 10th, with special hours, 11 to 3, at the Drift Inn, 545 F Street in Rupert, 436-1300. And my buddy Colonel Dale at Book Plaza and the rest of the staff, I got to get in there. I got a book that's been ordered and there for like a month. Gee whiz, I keep forgetting. 222 West 11th Street in Burley, and they've got all kinds of things for Mom. The greeting cards, the books, the poems, the precious moments, all other figurines, everything for Mom on Mother's Day at the Book Plaza in Burley. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think? If you're going to really tell the bad guys, hey, we're not going to cater to you. We're not going to give in to you. We're going to squash you like a bug if you cause any trouble. And we're going to go ahead with our Oriole and White Sox game. We're going to open up the turnstiles, and we're going to have 40,000 people come in there. You make one move for trouble, and they're going to be packing you out on a stretcher. In today's politically correct world, you can't say that, but I just did. And there is no room to give in to the bad guys. No room at all, but they did. And they're going to play a baseball game, a professional major league game, first time ever, with nobody in the stands. Unbelievable. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear about I think she worked for CNN, a female reporter, and this is another one of the how can they be this stupid statements. This female reporter was doing an interview with Elijah Cummings from the New Jersey area, a congressman from that area, and she said that she believes that what's happening in Baltimore is because of are returning veterans from overseas. People want to act out some of the violence that the veterans, are returning from. And she said the veterans probably are stimulating some of the violence in our cities. And I just wanted to, honestly, be offended if you wish, but I wanted to reach out and not just touch her, but just get her attention with a shovel or whatever, that any reporter could be that stupid and that slanderous of our veterans. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
How you doing, Mr. Bell?
Well, my temper is at about 110, and my scale only goes up to 100.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Hey, I know you're a big sports fan, and I think if I read this right, do you remember the Dietrich basketball coach, A.C. Shaw?
I sure do. Yep.
That has the disease?
Yes, I do. And as a matter of fact, I know where you're heading on this, and ESPN is going to do a special show on him, and I can't wait to see it.
Well, I think I read in the paper today, if I read it right, that program is on tonight at 5 o'clock.
I believe you're right. Wednesday at 5 p.m. on ESPN, and I think it's on ESPN 1, not 2 or 3, but I'm going to have to check on that. They've got 2 or 3 channels right here in this area. But it's it's a heartwarming story about a great coach and a great team, and I was going to get to that next hour, but you've hit it, and I'll talk about it right now. A.C. Shaw and the Dietrich Blue Devils basketball team, the girls basketball team, I say God bless them, and I'll bet you'll agree.
Yes, I do, and and I have met A.C. Shaw. I've known him over the years. I got to know him at the basketball tournaments when she was coaching, and one of the finest young men that you will ever know. And if anybody wants to be inspired, they really need to watch this program tonight. You know,
I say God blessings to you, because we need more people that look at the good things and want to promote the good things. And this is an excellent story about A.C. Shaw and coaching the Dietrich girls basketball team. And it's tonight at 5. I'm going to make sure I'm in the house. God bless you for your thoughts.
Yep, you too, and you have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I saw that CNN thing this morning, and the first thing that came to my mind was if it wasn't for all these veterans, this country would have been taken over a long time ago by a bunch of Banana Republic troops.
Tony, how could
That
any...
really upset me when I heard that.
How could any reporter, I don't care male or female, go to that depth, go to that basement, and dig out something that would criticize our veterans? I personally think the woman should be fired. I think she should be selling purses and leather goods at Kmart. I have no use for that kind of slovenly remark.
You know, the troops are overseas for several reasons, and one of the main ones is to keep the enemy off our shores.
That's right.
So anybody that wants to spit in the face of the veterans, they can go to you know where.
That's my feeling exactly. You know, on this program, we are never going to win an award for being politically correct, nor do I want to. God bless you, Tony. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Hey, we got to get the weather in real quick, and then we'll take some more phone calls. And the weather brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems with our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, a heat pump, whatever, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. They can save you money and provide you warm winters and cool summers. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for Zeb at the ranch. Pretty simple weather for today and for the rest of the week. Sunny. Low to mid-70s for the daytime high. That's all the way through the week. There isn't really that much more I could share with you. That it's going to be a lot of sun and very little cloud with daytime highs in the 70s. That's about as simple as you can get. I'll be arriving in the Magic Valley of South Central Idaho. If you are interested in a photo session with my photography, you can get a hold of Zeb, or you can get a hold of me at 702-250-2114. Portrait headshot. They are available. Senior pictures are available. I'm coming up for a week, spend a week with my son Joseph as we go watch the movie Avengers. Also, too, with Mother's Day coming, a family portrait for Mother's Day, I can make sure that happens and I can have it done and printed for you before Mother's Day so you can present it to Mom. So give me a holler. You can contact them or you can contact me. And oh, by the way, enjoy the nice sunny weather with a high of 71. The only weather you got.
All right, Michael, thank you. Brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You know, why in the world are we so concerned about political correctness? That's a question right now. Somebody out there in the audience, tell me why. Why would we ever want to waste time by being politically correct? Why can't we all have our opinions? Why can't we all look at the good, the bad, and the ugly and term it as such? Why do we have to even think about being politically correct? Why are we wasting our time in a free society worrying about what words are not acceptable? Why are we worrying about Hillary Clinton saying to staff members, well, I'll take these questions, but they are not allowed to say these various words? That is not free speech. That's not the First Amendment. Somebody ought to stand up, and I wished I had the opportunity, and say, Mrs. Clinton, and then mention a lot of the words that she doesn't like in a phrased question and just have her sit there and stew. This country deserves better than what we're getting, and we're going into kind of a tunnel right now. We're going into a tunnel of where we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't say this, we can't say that. Oh, somebody might be offended. Well, who really cares? Who really cares? Have we got to that point now that, well, if you say something, well, gee whiz, somebody might be offended and their feelings might be hurt, so I better sit here and not say anything, and I'll just let the buffalo herd just roll right over me? Why are we concerned about political correctness? That mother in Baltimore that went out of that house on the dead run and got her son by the arm, and boy, when he resisted, Mama won. That's what all parents should do. That's what every single parent of those little snots that were out in the road throwing rocks and bottles at police, that's what they all needed. Plus a good kick in the posterior to make sure they made it up to the top step of the house. But no, the do-gooders, the Spockish types have come out and really criticized that mom. I am going to do all I can. Deanne, you're sitting right there. I need you to get the name, and we will get I forgot the lady's name. We're going to call in the next couple of days and get her on the air, the mother in Baltimore that resurrected her son's appreciation for right and wrong. We're going to get her on the air. I'll do my very best. I want to praise her. I think I'll even send her a gift certificate to go eat someplace at a national chain. I'll tell you what, she deserves it. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. While I am waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I want to remind you about the Big Spring Tire Sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Yup, they're always there with the best of tires, safe tires for your kind of driving, like the Ultra Z900, very, very, very good passenger car tire. All-season design, ooh, yeah, safe driving ahead. And, of course, don't forget, too, for your pickups and SUVs, the Wildcat AT2, traction in all seasons, excellent tire. And you get the best tire value promise in the industry, peace of mind tire protection, and lifetime tire and mileage care. Convenient credit terms, too, for all the tires and services. And, of course, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, brake service. Absolutely the best in brake service. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, it's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're going to do more on this story, I guarantee you, because you're not going to believe it. Remember about 3 weeks ago, I had a friend of mine back in Washington, D.C. call me and say, Zeb, the EPA is considering regulating backyard barbecue grills. And at first I snickered and laughed, and then I found out he wasn't kidding, he was serious, and I put that on the air that morning. I did. I put a little news story in the first hour of my program about the EPA and barbecue grills and everything. And there were people that thought I had lost my mind. They're not going to ever regulate barbecuing. My goodness sakes, they can't do that. Well, they are. They are. And as a matter of fact, now they are saying that, and I got this out of Newsmax magazine, a very credible magazine that goes into all aspects of the news, and they said before you fire up your grill this summer, you might want to look over your shoulder or up in the sky to make sure the Environmental Protection Agency isn't watching. The EPA is not satisfied with declaring carbon a greenhouse pollutant. The EPA is going to fund a great big study about backyard barbecues, and then they're going to make a decision as to whether you and I can have a barbecue or not. So, with that being said, and somebody trying to tell me what I can and can't do, I am asking Deanne, and never tell Deanne, always ask Deanne, that we barbecue as much as we can outside. We want to really start a barbecue. I've got a little barbecue pit out in my arena, and I'm going to start barbecuing out there. I'm going to do all I can, because I will not kowtow to the government and the EPA. Here's what they are proposing. They're saying that the pollution controls on the grills, the barbecue grills, that the EPA wants to enforce on us would be similar in concept to those found on automobiles. Yep. Grease drippings would drain into a special tray and pass through a catalytic filter to reduce flare-ups. Also, a fan would redirect grill emissions through an air filter. Can you imagine the costs? Can you imagine the headaches? And the EPA doesn't care. They want to now come into our backyard grills. I'm going to dig that pit deeper. I'm going to put a bigger grill on there, and we're going to invite the neighborhood. And literally, you might be offended when I say this, but damn the EPA. It's time that we shorten their leash by a bunch. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A couple of the stories I didn't have time for today, but we're going to get into hopefully tomorrow morning. Some of the fraternities at the University of Florida and Emory University are in trouble, and rightfully so, for some of their fraternity members that did a complete disrespecting of another group of veterans that were meeting in the same hotel, and we're going to talk about that. And then also, I want to say kudos to another man that doesn't believe in political correctness, and his name is Mike Rossi. And you're going to really find this story I'm going to talk about tomorrow very heartwarming about his running in the Boston Marathon. I mean, man, it brought tears to my eyes, and we'll talk about that on the first hour tomorrow. Next hour, we have Dave Bigo. And we also have Bert Stevenson. But I want to remind everybody that earlier this morning I was on the phone with Larry Hudig of Hazleton. I want to say this real slow. So Larry, of course, with his diminished hearing, and today is his birthday. He doesn't hear well anymore. He had to put his teeth in early this morning, and the nurse had to help him in his wheelchair as he spilled his oatmeal trying to get to the little radio and listen to this happy birthday Larry remark. He is now an old antique. Happy birthday, Larry Hudig. If you see him, make him buy you a cup of coffee today or whatever, okay? We're going to take a little break for about 6 minutes, and then we'll be back with our guest next hour. God bless all of you. Have a great day. Zeb at the Ranch. We'll be right back. Oh my, here we go. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'll tell you, all right, thank you. I forgot to turn my phone off. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Thank you very much. And along with some of our great advertisers like Valley-Wide Home and Ranch at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Sean, Mandy, the whole crew, everything. I mean, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Get rid of your garbage. Goodbye. It's gone. Call them at 734-6969. Locally owned and operated, and always doing a great job for you. All the different dumpsters in various sizes, and if you got a special event coming up, a picnic or a great big company party, all the porta potties, everything at Western Waste Services. 734-6969. Always at your disposal. And 2, we're very, very blessed on this program to have the cream of the crop, the best of the best right here with all of our different businesses. And we want to acknowledge Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with the number to remember, 436-5636. Joel Heward, the owner-manager, his family and staff with very, very flexible hours to serve you. That's right, give you family attention in the rural towns and churches, and they'll come to you to help you make the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. They're there to serve you. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Really nice people. And real quick, I also want to remind you about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric with Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, serving you. Well, my buddies here on the phone, let's say a great big good morning to Indianapolis, Indiana, and my friend Dave Bigo. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Deb. Hope you're doing well and you got your windows cleaned.
You know, it's really funny. You made me chuckle on this because I was speed reading during the news, everything you sent Deanne just a few moments ago. And that was a great story. I got that far, and then the news ended, and so I had to play radio host again. But Dave Bigo, the author of a couple of great books, The Devil at My Doorstep, The Devil at Our Doorsteps, his blog, and also great CEO of his company. Dave, now I want to start from scratch on this. I have been absolutely vilified, I guess, by some because I am not a fan of raising the minimum wage. I am not a fan of even thinking or considering giving the minimum wage people and earners $15 an hour. I think it's going to be absolutely insidious as to what it's going to do for unemployment. It's going to curtail jobs, and it's going to take away any incentives. That being said, you can tell me now how wrong I am.
No, Zeb, I agree with you, and it's already being seen up in Seattle where they've changed. They've gone to the $15 an hour, and they've got businesses up there that are closing up shop and or bringing in new technology or mechanics to replace people and or taking people to part time. And so it doesn't work, and all it is an affront to the free enterprise system, and for people to have an incentive to go out and learn and start out and do a job and move their way up based on their own incentive.
Dave, you're an employer of many, many people, and I am a very, very small businessman compared to you. But I would imagine that when we look at this thing from, let's just say that you give these low-level jobs $15 an hour. What about the other employees? What about the people that have been in your workforce? What about the assistant managers? What about the managers? I mean, this thing is going to be like a snowball going downhill. How can the employers afford those kind of raises on an hourly basis?
Well, they can, and that's just it. When you do something like that, this thing just rises to the top. You have to increase other people's wages in other parts of the company, and that's what I say. Some businesses, they won't even consider it. They're just closing up shop. Other people, they're looking at alternatives, like I say, part-time people where they don't have to pay benefits and stuff like that to cut down cost, or looking for more technology, mechanical means of doing things, and that's what you're going to see, and that's what this president and the unions don't get, or they do get, because at the end of the day, they want to bring down our economy and take us to a socialistic, totalitarian type of government. And this is just another means of getting there.
Dave, I'm going to say something that might not sound too kosher for what we're talking about this morning, and I'm certainly not pointing the finger at anybody, but I'm sure it's crossed your mind, too, that when you see these people on television, whether they're in New York City saying, well, I'm not going to work anymore here at McDonald's for $15 unless I get $15 an hour, and then across the country this spreads. You know what? As a consumer, I would be very afraid that somebody might take this to the nth degree and do something to the food that might hurt the consumer because these people are maybe not going to get their own way. Has that crossed your mind too?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen that, Zev. I mean, it's kind of like when the SEIU attacked us, and by the way, they're the biggest union behind all this with Walmart and McDonald's. They're very careful about doing something like that, because then they know that that'll put them in the spotlight if it's uncovered that they were responsible for it. And number two is if they bring down a company like that, then their chances of unionizing people are not going to be very good. And people have to understand that's what this is all about. This is not about the employees and making more money. What this is all about is for the unions to get a foothold in there. You know, it's all about perception. They're saying, oh, yeah, we're helping these people. We want to give them a better life, better income and jobs and stuff like that. But behind the scenes, they're using these work centers, which are, by the way, 5013Cs, which are charity organizations. Mm-hmm. So the union can use it for tax-deductible things and for income, but they don't have to pay taxes and that on. And what it is, they're not work centers. They're brainwashing centers where they get these kids in, these people in, and brainwash them that this is all about them, they're going to help them. But at the end of the day, what they're going to do is unionize these people, and they've even admitted that. In one of the links that I've got in there, one of the union members admits that at the end of the day, it's all about unionization. It's not about getting these people more money.
Dave, I got to admit that I did not see this coming. I mean, fast food workers and teenagers, college students looking for low-level entry jobs into the workforce. I don't care what fast food chain it is, but I mean, this is not full-time work. This is not family supportive work. This is not, oh boy, I want to be a burger flipper when I grow up. That's not an incentive to really appreciate and be conducive to the talents and the abilities that God gave each and every one of us. I mean, my goodness, these are low-level jobs, and they're treating these jobs as if it's going to be a 40-year future. This is ridiculous.
Again, Zeb, and I hate to be the broken record, but you know, this is the fact that the unions are dinosaurs. They're desperate. They're trying to avoid extinction, and they'll unionize anybody they can for the dues money, so they can continue to keep their organizations alive, pad their own pockets, and pursue their political agendas. This is not about the people. This is desperation at hand, and desperate people do desperate things.
When you look at the Obama administration, and you look at the cronies and the friends, and you look at like having an open-door policy with Al Sharpton, a guy that owes the IRS and basically us, the American taxpayers, over $5 million, and he's not paying anything. He's not going to jail. In the 631 days left that we have to suffer through this administration, how concerned are you about what they're going to do with the power of the pen and the phone and his association with these labor unions? I mean, you must have some thoughts as to what they're going to try to do next.
Well, they're going to continue to help those people that have supported them, and the unions are a big part of that. And you know, they continue to through the National Labor Relations Board to roll out new rulings and programs that will allow unions to force unionize people, and so they can get more money and support the president and his agenda. But at the end of the day, too, is Zeb, I'm real concerned that you know, this is another means of crashing the economy, because you put the private workforce in jeopardy because of all this, and the cost in that. You're going to have people go out of business. You're not going to have the tax income because it ain't going to be there. And you combine that with all the other things that this president's doing with the open borders, with the illegals coming across or taking American jobs, and God forbid that we have ISIS or somebody else come across and we have another 9/11 situation where this country is just in total shock. In addition to that, you have more of what's going on in Baltimore, which is being propagated by, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out the SEIU and other far-left people are behind what's going on in Baltimore. And we see more of that, and it all comes to a head, and we see the nation collapse.
Why, Dave, and you've been on my program for a couple of years, and why? People are asking me, well, why would the president, why would our government want to cause all this trouble? Good heavens, that's kind of a sword to their own stomach. Well, really, there's an underlying reason, and I don't trust this administration. I don't trust the liberal left. Give us your take, and what do you tell people when they say, oh, come on, I don't believe that. That's a fairy tale.
Well, you know, it is hard to believe. I understand what these people are saying, but, you know, I've been there and seen how the SEIU approaches things, and I've gone through the battles with them, and they're doing, the president's doing the same things that the SEIU did against us, and it's, their goal was to bring down my company unless I, accepted their proposition of force unionizing my people. And what this president's all about is in doing all these things. And if you notice, they keep changing the agendas all over. That's to keep you distracted and keep the American people distracted. They go from one talking point to another and things that they're doing. And at the end of the day, it's about them. They think they're smarter than we are. They think they know how to run things, and they use social justice as their mask. They're saying, we need to make everybody the same, and we got to take care of everybody. We can't have any poor people. We can't have this and that. But at the end of the day, what it's about is power and control for them, because it's just like Adolf Hitler. They think they know better.
Yeah. You talk about this Baltimore situation, and I was going to mention that to you anyway. But here is a situation where they let outsiders come in, which were professional agitators, some of which were over in Ferguson, Missouri. And the first night was absolute chaos with the looting and burning and destroying of people's businesses and, quite frankly, their future and their lives. And last night, I was somewhat proud of what happened in Baltimore. A lot of the community, a lot of the business owners, they got up out of their chairs, they walked over in front of the police, and they turned their back to the police, and they basically told the bad guys, okay, you want to have a rumble? You got to go through us first. And they literally showed signs of taking back their community and telling the bad, troublemaking riffraff to get out of Dodge City. What was your take?
Well, I think that's great, and that's what we need. We need people with backbone that stand up and realize that, we can't put up with this stuff anymore. And the only way that you stop these people, because they're bullies, that's what they are. They're trying to intimidate you into doing what they want you to do. And you have to stand up and punch the bully in the nose, just like we need to have the people in Congress do the same thing.
Dave, our president, and I use that term loosely, did not miss an opportunity to slander the Congress and slander the police forces. Why can't this man give credit where credit is due?
Well, because he doesn't want to, Zeb. He's behind all this. I keep telling people, you understand, these things that keep popping up are done for the president so he can get up and, talk about his agenda and how he feels about all these things and tear down our society, that we're racist, the free market system doesn't work because it's not for social justice and all these things, so it continues to promote his agenda. And Zeb, we know for a fact that in Ferguson, the SEIU was behind it, and
yes.
The Communist Union. I mean, they marched in the streets of California with the Communist Party. I mean, that's a known fact. We have pictures of that. And they were in Ferguson. They were behind attacking police officers in New York. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't find out that they're behind the scenes in Baltimore. And that's just what this does is it sets up a talking platform for the president, mm-hmm. and then bringing Al Sharpton in even more so they can go on their racist platform too.
What can we do as citizens? What can I do as a talk show host? I mean, what can we do to literally expose and belittle the SEIU and what they're trying to do, and also what they're trying to do with politics? What more can we do?
Well, we have to keep exposing them for what they are and what they're doing and how they're using things. That's why I did this blog. It's all about perception, that they're using a front, work centers, to make people think that they're doing the right things for people, and really they're doing it for their own pockets and force unionizing these people. And we got to keep pointing these facts out to the American people and get them to understand they got to get up like these business owners in Baltimore did and punch the bully in the nose. And Zeb, we have to keep talking about it until people wake up. I mean, what I find is, and like last night, I was getting my hair cut, And the gal that was cutting my hair, I was telling her about this stuff. And Zeb, she goes, wow. She says, Dave, I didn't realize all this stuff was going on. I said, you need to pay attention. And we got to encourage people to pay attention, look behind the scenes, look under, the big facade that the unions and the president are putting up there, and see what the truth is.
And that leads me to the last subject for this morning, and that's Hillary Clinton. I mean, my goodness sakes, Dave, I can't imagine how the American public could possibly be so naive and, quite frankly, dumb to even consider putting her in the White House with all the trials, all the tribulations, all the scandals, all the mismanagement. My goodness, what are they thinking about even running this woman for president?
It's all about she's a woman, and they think they can hang their hat on that. But the truth is, the people need to look at what's out there and read the material and realize that this lady, just like the current president, isn't about America. She's about Hillary Clinton and her agenda, and we need to put a stop to it. And I honestly think she won't make it, to be honest with you. I think all the stuff behind the scenes with Benghazi and the financial contributions by foreign entities and all that, Zeb, I think that she'll be out of it before we get to the primaries, but we'll see what happens. My famous saying on people like this is that if it walks like a duck, acts like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Absolutely. But there again, last question for you. Who is possibly going to wait in the wings? I mean, my goodness, don't even mention the name Elizabeth Warren. I mean, she's just a one-trick pony. Who else?
I don't know. I wish the Democrats would step up, because not all Democrats are bad people. I know a lot of Democrats that are
That's right.
Are friends and fine people, and they don't buy into what this far left stuff is going on either. And I know there's Democratic politicians out there that would represent America much better, and it's the same thing. They need to grow a backbone, and they need to step up and say, we're tired of this. This is not who we represent. We need to represent America.
I have had the opportunity to watch your Detroit Tigers play, and Detroit is absolutely a good baseball team. However, my dear friend, I have also watched my Chicago Cubs, and they have absolutely amazed me because they have a young staff, and they're winning baseball games.
Well, Zeb, I agree. I've watched a little of both too, but I think at the end of the day, when this is all over, I'm going to be drinking some of your wine.
Yeah, well, if the truth be told, you should be having a bottle every night, the way I've lost to you. All right, Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana, author and just a general good old boy. The Devil at My Doorstep, The Devil at Our Doorstep, and his blog. Dave, God bless you. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Well, thank you, Zeb, and please keep your windows clean and have your listeners keep their windows clean. I think that story I put in there sums it up. I'm
going to read that, as a matter of fact, tomorrow morning in the first hour. So God bless you, Dave. Thank you so much.
All righty. Take care, Doc.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Dave Bego, a man that I have the utmost respect for, and CEO of a great, big, huge nationwide company, and also a great author and a friend to this program, and we appreciate him. Okay, let's take care of some business right here and remind you about Streamline Precision. Man, I'm telling you, they're busy. You know why they're busy? Because they are a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley with Tim Vaughn. The number to call for estimates on things you need built, things you need done, 431-7314. Well, like putting up grain storage on your farm. On the farm grain bin storage, they can put them up. They're an authorized dealer in all the buildings like the Sukup, Chief, Balin, and Nucor buildings, and they've got all the big equipment to handle all your dirt hauling needs with the big side dump trucks. And believe me, they're currently, this is how good these people are, they're currently building the brand new Funk Dairy south of Murtaugh. Absolutely. They are the best. And like I said, they're involved in doing so many things, but they always make a coordinated, accurate, confidential, and consistent timeline on the projects for you to get them done right on time. Call 431-7314. That's Tim Vaughn. Good guy for estimates today. Don't put it off. You call 431-7314. Streamline Precision in Burley. The professionals building for you. Oh, my goodness. Let's see what else have I got cooking here. Mother's Day. Mother's Day's coming up on May 10th. And I want to remind you about some great businesses celebrating Mother's Day, including the Goody Shop. Oh, my. They are located at 133 West Main in Burley. Number to call. Remember this number, 647-0106. And you can treat your mom to a goodie basket. You can build your own out of your own selections or select one that's already done. Or the special Mother's Day mugs can be filled with candy, kisses, and brownie treats and all kinds of goodies. Don't forget, treat Mom at the Goody Shop, 133 West Main in Burley. And also our thanks to K&R Rental. They've got all the tools and everything else to kind of make the house look ship-shape and the outside, everything ship-shape. I'm telling you, fathers and dads, this would be great for Mother's Day. You go to K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, and get exactly the materials, the tools that you need to get the job done so Mom can sit in her chair and smile. There you go. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Number to call, 678-3122. Happy Mother's Day. Absolutely. Just a moment, we're going to have my dear friend, former Representative Bert Stevenson on the phone, and nobody knows water better than Bert does, and I'm really honored to have him come on the program. Let's ride Highway 24, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. Let's Ride is where the fun is sold. They're open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4, and they've got all the ATVs over there. You think I'm kidding? You just walk in that showroom, open the door, and say, holy cow, how'd you get all these in here? It is amazing. They've got the ATVs, they've got the dirt bikes, they've got all the accessories. I mean, my goodness, they got a great service department. What are you waiting for? You need to get outside and enjoy the great Idaho outdoors. This is where the fun is sold. Let's ride Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. You stop in and see them today. Also, while you're over in that neck of the woods, of course, there's not that many trees over there, but if you're over in that area, stop in or give a call first to Cameron and Siemens Insurance with the life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. Oh, yeah, you want to make sure you're protected. Oh, yeah, you want to make sure that your future is protected. So you make sure you give a call to Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, and make an appointment with Dean and Todd. They are dedicated and responsive to your needs. They will help. 436-4424, the number to call. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and a gentleman that I have the utmost respect for. He's one of my dear, dear friends. Good morning, Bert Stevenson. How are you?
Zeb, I'm really good. I'm a little concerned that you use this term about how much knowledge I know about water, and there's lots of people that know way more about water than I do, other than probably I've been playing it a long time.
Well, I'll tell you what. Hey, Bert, by the way, are you on a speakerphone or a handheld phone?
I'm on a speakerphone. Do you want me to get off?
Yeah, if you could, and just do a handhold, because it gives quite an echo, and I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry.
Now, is that better?
Oh, my, yes. You have been beamed from the heavens above. I appreciate that. Thank you. Bert, you're on the governor's, what is the proper terminology? Task force? You're the leader of studying the water situation. Give us your official title and duties.
Well, I'm on the state water board,
Yeah.
and this is the water board was created years ago by a legislation, and ours is to try and make sure that the supply of water
is available. Sustainability is the one thing that we're trying to do now, and it seems like we're struggling because we want to bring in new industry to the state, and yet every one of them wants water, and we're struggling right now to meet all those needs. And it isn't so much that we don't have the water, but it's getting it where we need it when we need it.
Okay, now, you said it isn't so much as not having the water. Okay, bring us up to speed from when you were here the last time, about 3-4 weeks ago. What is going on with the water status for this year? I mean, we've had a little rain, but not very much. There was a little snow up in the hills, but not very much. Where are we at right now?
Well, right now we're still struggling. Statewide, I was in meetings Monday with the Elmore County Commissioners. They anticipate they'll have a third of a supply of water, or their regular supply of water, and that's serious because what crops can we grow with just a third of the water that we normally use?
Yeah.
We're faced with the same thing here in Magic Valley. We turned on 14 days to 15 days earlier than we normally do. Every crop, the grain, you look around, it's being watered up. Beets, potatoes are planted into the dry dirt. All of those are going to have tremendous amounts of water here shortly. Our supply in the reservoirs is still reasonably good. We're about 84%. The natural flow is starting to drop because the snow is leaving. We normally have the lower snow that comes off this time of year, and then the high snow. We're up. The temperatures are high. We're up, taking off the high snow right now. As I went through Fairfield the other day, Soldier Mountain up there's got a little snow left up in the top, and that's about all.
Well, Bert, when you look at the overall situation of our water, and again, I do praise you because you do have the credentials of knowing this situation. What about the pumpers? What about the groundwater users? What about the whole situation, the scenario? Where are we at?
Well, this is part of the problem, Zeb, is the groundwater people are about where they've been each year. And we're trying to put recharge in the water. This is the first winter we've been able to recharge in some of our canal systems all winter long. We put roughly 75,000 acre feet of water in the aquifer this past winter. That will help us. But here again, the judge has said that the groundwater and the surface water has to be managed conjunctively. And so when the river or the surface water people are low on water, then they look to shut the groundwater people off. And there could be an order coming out the end of this week if we're not able to work out some kind of an arrangement with them, an order come out that will shut off some acres of groundwater for this coming year.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, now discuss
that. And this is acres that have already probably been planted.
Yeah. Bert, give us, in your terminology, how serious that is and how devastating that is and how many people could be hurt.
Zeb, I can't tell you the number. The numbers that I'm hearing is that those with water rights junior to 1980 could be curtailed. And this affects the dairies. This will affect some cities, could affect some of the cities, and it makes it difficult, Zeb, for cities and other people to know exactly what they're going to be, because what will happen now is we'll try and negotiate with something with it. If, when we shut these people off, or when they shut the meter, or order the curtailment, as however you want to do that, when that happens, that doesn't give the surface water any more water. Mm-hmm. Because that's
6 to 10 months out before that water starts showing up.
So,
and that's past the growing season. And so that's always been the real rub is you're going to curtail me for water that you're not going to get.
Yeah.
But that's the system of we have first in time, first in right. Then when when the courts ruled that we had to manage this water conjunctively, that's where we're at. Now, I can tell you that there are lots of people trying to work to solve this problem, Zeb, and one of the things that they're trying to do is encourage people to use less water.
Mm-hmm.
You remember last August when it was raining?
Yes.
And it wasn't unusual last August when it was raining hard there. You go by and people were running just as much water as they normally do.
Yes.
Well, we've got to start thinking farther in advance and save some of that water.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard thing to sell people because we've used water as a luxury rather than a... I mean, when you read and you've read it, Zeb, and heard what's happening in California, their groundwater is depleted to the point that some of that soil is starting to drop down.
Let me ask you this, though, Bert. In the case of like last August, and you have talked about this over the last year, that, the wheel lines and the pivots were still going, and boy, it was a wet August. How are you going to legislate and curtail the usage? How are you going to make is everybody going to get a phone call and they're going to be told by the governor's office or law enforcement that they have to turn off their pumps? How could that ever be effective?
That's the hard part of it, is people have got to pull together and do it voluntarily. There are no laws that can force you because you have a water right, which is a property right, to use that water if it's available. Now, people always say, well, that water is mine. No, the water belongs to the state of Idaho. You have the right to use it.
Yeah.
And people sometimes have the impression that, well, that's my water and I'll use it the way I want.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but there is no enforcement on that, and as long as they're within their decreed water rights.
Let me ask you, over the years that you've been farming here in southern Idaho and looking back at history even prior, is this as bad as it's ever been, or have we gone through and come through similar situations?
Oh, Zeb, we've come through similar situations and managed to do it. That's one of the reasons this valley has been referred to as Magic Valley, is because we have access to all of the storage above here. And this is a case where people work together and they manage. Now, we may not get all of the one, and there may be a little of our yields that are hurt, but we can survive the valley. I can tell you, like the Rangan call last year, if they'd have shut off 157,000 acres like they talked about, it would have been devastating to Magic Valley and to the state of Idaho as far as the economy is concerned.
Right.
Because if you'd have forced those people to shut off, they would have never been able to come back on, some of them.
Absolutely. Bert, another question I've got is due to government regulations and due to the environmental issues, how much water on a percentage basis are we literally giving up, like for the fish flush and other uses that could be much more beneficial to us?
Well, Seb, you're going to see here within probably the next 30 days, the flow augmentation will take about 100,000 acre-feet of water out of the upper snake to flush the salmon.
Oh, my.
And there's a really good example is if they only took half of that this year, it would be a tremendous help to the people. Your groundwater people are out there scrounging, trying to buy some water to meet those needs,
to bring that water on down for the canal companies, but they won't sell it, and the governments will require that 100,000 acre feet of water. Now, the sad part about that is you're not going to see any difference on the fish in this 1 year if that water was left.
Absolutely not. Okay, everybody's got to bend, everybody's got to yield, everybody's got to try to work together, except the government. And they are taking our water. You said 100,000 acre feet of water, and there's no reciprocity from them. They just take it, and we got to sit back and try to figure out what to do. This isn't right, Bert.
Well, it isn't right, and the reason that is because of how much water we carried over last fall in our reservoirs and how near full they were this year. And that they do that on a curve, what they call the curve, and so they're entitled to it, and they've committed it to the salmon. And, one of the things that happened to us this year is and we're working really hard to get places where we can recharge the water that goes past Milner in the wintertime, so that we can get it out and recharge the aquifer. That will help the Thousand Springs. There's another giant that's out there, and that's the Swan Falls Agreement that we have with Idaho Power, that if it goes below 39 CFS, 3,900 CFS, then they can call and that's and we've breached that a couple of times already, and so these are some of the problems that we're really faced with, and that are really difficult to do it.
Yeah, but the one thing we can't control, and that is whether we have a real big snowpack up in the hills or whether we have a really wet spring. And, I mean, you can say all you want, and everybody can say, well, we'll try to manage this, and we'll try to do this and everything. Unless we get the moisture, we can't do anything, can we?
Zeb, you and I realize how puny our arm is in this scheme of whole thing.
Absolutely.
And we ought to be on bended knees asking Heavenly Father to fill those reservoirs with winter snow and water, and then we have to be mindful of use it wisely.
Absolutely. Bert, when you look at the overall picture, and this is right now April 29th, what would be needed as far as rainfall and inches of water to put us back at a more secure position?
Well, this is part of our problem, Zeb, is we're not getting the rainstorms. Now, we're getting a little bit of an indication that we may get some a little later on. Like one man told me the other day, we got to get the farmers out here to cut the first cutting of hay so we can get some rain.
You know, there's a lot of truth to that, too.
Well, unfortunately, one man's success depends on another man's trouble.
That's right.
It's unfortunate, but if we could get a half inch of rain or an inch of rain here in the next 30 days, it would really be helpful to us.
Okay. Well, I want you to know how much I appreciate your taking the time to come on and talk about this water issue, and we need to keep an update on this, but I'm sure that there are many, many parts of the valley, the north side and here on the south side, people are probably very worried and concerned, and communities should be concerned also, because it's going to have an effect on the stores in the various towns, too.
Well, Zeb, you take over in eastern Oregon and down in the Wise. Those people have less than a fourth of their normal water. And the other thing that's happened, you had Kelton Hatch on the other day, and in visiting with him the other day, the June grass has started to head out already. It's only 2 or 3 inches tall.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be serious.
Absolutely. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you and Elaine, and thank you so much, my dear friend Bert Stevenson. God bless you for all your help. Please come back anytime and tell us what's going on with the water situation. But you're the man. Thank you, Bert. We appreciate it.
Well, Zeb, I'm really fortunate to live in this community and have an opportunity to try to help resolve some of these problems. It isn't me. It's a whole community working together.
Well, God bless you, Bert.
Successful.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Bert Stevenson, thank you for taking the time this morning. I appreciate it. He's gone. All right. Bert Stevenson, a dear friend, and I just very, very high on everything he's done to help the state of Idaho. Oh, my goodness. We've got to get the weather on. And by the way, the weather this hour is brought to you by Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert and Nicole and Alex Pratt. She just sent me some pictures of a really novel idea. They're doing wooden spoons for Mother's Day. Listen up, guys and gals, listen to this. For Mother's Day, they're just $5, and they were featured at the women's seminar last week, and the ladies loved them. I'm telling you, these are really neat wooden spoons with different sayings on them, like bless this kitchen with love and laughter, and then the name of the family on the spoon. What a nice gift. And the only wooden spoon I remember is the one my mother used to swat me with. But these are really nice wooden spoons with that engraved saying and the family name. I tell you what, you better get over to Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Tell Nicole I told you to get over there for these Mother's Day gifts of these wooden spoons. Really nice. Mad River Laser. Right now, here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for Zeb at the ranch. Pretty simple weather for today and for the rest of the week. Sunny. Low to mid-70s for the daytime high. That's all the way through the week. There isn't really that much more I could share with you. That it's going to be a lot of sun and very little cloud with daytime highs in the 70s. That's about as simple as you can get. I'll be arriving in the Magic Valley of South Central Idaho. If you are interested in a photo session with my photography, you can get a hold of Zeb. You can get a hold of me at 702-250-2114. Portrait headshots, they are available. Senior pictures are available. I'm coming up for a week, spend a week with my son Joseph as we go watch the movie Avengers. Also, too, with Mother's Day coming, a family portrait for Mother's Day, I can make sure that happens and I can have it done and printed for you before Mother's Day so you can present it to Mom. So give me a holler. You can contact them or you can contact me. And oh, by the way, enjoy the nice sunny weather with a high of 71. The only weather you got.
There you go, Michael Rogers, brought to you by Mad River Laser. Be sure and call her today or stop in 436-2293 or stop in at 502 East Street in Rupert right on the square. Mad River Laser. These wooden spoons, what a great idea for Mother's Day. Absolutely at Mad River Laser. I love that idea. All right, give me a call. Please, somebody call me. Keep me awake. I mean, stir my interest with that wooden spoon. And give me a jingle. I've still got time. We'll kind of leave it open forum right now for whatever you want to talk about. Give me a jingle on the landline, and I'd love to visit with you. And I'll make it easy. While you're calling and dialing right now, I'm going to do one more commercial, and then we'll get you on the air with your thoughts. Okay, quick, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got something you need to be a part of this Friday night. Oh my, Duck Uglies. Grand reopening at 163 Highway 30 in Burley. Jack Bates, the new owner-manager. Oh my goodness, he is going to pull out all the stops. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of fun. Starts at 5 o'clock on Friday night. They're going to have roast pig with all the trimmings. And with the $10 per plate cost, you get a raffle ticket. You might win a great big flat screen TV. They're going to have outstanding music with Ned Carter and then Barton and Bowler. Oh my, this is going to be fantastic. And don't forget, they're also starting to serve breakfast over there at Duck Uglies. Oh my goodness, from 6 to 11 a.m. in the mornings. Breakfast, great breakfast. He's got a breakfast burrito that'll knock your socks off. Duck Uglies, 163 Highway 30 in Burley. You stop in for the grand reopening starting this Friday night at 5 p.m. All right, give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I've got just a little bit of time here, and I want to just touch on this story. The fraternities that I talked about last hour from the University of Florida and Emory University, they were so disgusting at this Florida hotel, Panama City Beach Hotel, because the fraternities right in front of a group of veterans were spitting, urinating, and pouring beer on the veterans and the American flag, and calling our veterans names that we couldn't even begin to put on the radio. What is the matter with these kids? What is the matter with these kids, these punks, these not knowing anything individuals that are getting a college education to act stupid? One of the veterans says they actually spit on him and his service dog, and they took flags and threw them on the floor, threw them off balconies. The students were urinating off the balconies onto the servicemen that were trying to make it inside the hotel. What is the matter here in the United States of America? And these students showing complete disrespect for these veterans and their families. Well, hopefully, the University of Florida and Emory University are going to find out who did this, who's responsible, and what fraternities they belong to, and throw them out. Throw them out. Personally, I'd like to see a lot tougher methods being imposed on these punks and thugs. But to do something as disrespectful as they did to our veterans, with service dogs that they needed, many had sight problems, and they needed those dogs to get around. Doesn't this is America? How can anybody sit back and say, oh, well, that's too bad? You know what? All of us should be outraged. All of us should be outraged. All of us should stand up and say, enough of this garbage in this country. And they say that they have the right and the freedom of speech and everything. Well, so do I. So do I. And I'm going to utilize it. I'm going to call each and every one of these students that did this damn dumb. And I'm going to call for their suspension from college. I'm going to call for their apologizing to the veterans. I'm going to do everything I can to minimize these people and show what kind of lowlifes they really are. We all should. We all should. This is inexcusable behavior. How dare they treat our flag, our country, and our veterans in this filthy manner? I don't know, folks. I just don't know. By the way, I want to remind you, too, that coming up next hour, we're going to have Owen Strachan on our program. He always does a good job. And then also John LeBoutelier. And John, of course, is known to a lot of the Fox News watchers as he is part of a program called Political Insiders. And John, a former New York State U.S. representative, and he's going to be on the air with us talking about politics. Going to be a good hour. And right now we're going to turn it back over to Wheels at our main studio. We're going to listen to the CBS News, and we'll be back in about 6 minutes. Don't you go away. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, don't forget some of our great advertisers, too, like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969, and Valleywide Home and Ranch. Everything, underline the word everything, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Are you hungry, Bunky? Well, I'll tell you what. Listen to this. Now, this really sounds good. The Chadwick Sports Grill at 139 West Main in Burley. Today they're going to have for the special the sweet and sour pork served over white rice with veggies and super salad. Oh, it sounds so good, along with all the other menu items and great service. Nice people at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Sweet and sour pork today at the Chadwick Sports Grill. Oh, and by the way, don't forget our friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Absolutely offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Warm winters and cool summers. Let's go to the phone line right now, and we have our guest ready to go. And I got to tell him right up front that he just has written a wonderful piece called No Free Speech for Christians at some of America's best universities. And we say good morning to Owen Strachan. Owen, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Zeb. Great to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you back on the program, and I got to tell you that I went through your little piece this morning, highlighted it, and first of all, kudos for you speaking out and telling it like it is. Give us a general synopsis of why you wrote this piece.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me back, Zeb. I wrote this piece because I heard about recent events at the University of North Carolina with David Horowitz, the pro-Israel advocate, and then at Oberlin College with Christina Hoff Sommers. In both cases, students raised a major stink because of these two speakers, in particular because of specific conservative stances they took. And for Sommers, for example, at Oberlin just a couple weeks back, during her talk, she was routinely shouted at. She was mocked and jeered and insulted. Students duct taped their mouths and sat in the front row. Sommers received this reaction because she has been an outspoken critic in a nuanced way of so-called rape culture. She's advocated for there being hard data to back up these allegations that many college campuses, have this rape culture on them. Well, Sommers is actually known as a feminist. She identifies as a feminist, but her nuancing of this issue was not taken to kindly by students at Oberlin. And so, as I said, in response, they treated her in a very hostile manner, as students at the University of North Carolina did with David Horowitz. So I tried to talk about these trends in this piece for the Stream and just call readers' attention to the fact that on many of our college and university campuses, free speech is a thing of the past, apparently, or at least treating people respectfully who speak their own convictions is a thing of the past.
Why? I mean, Owen, I'm not trying to be simplistic about this, but why? I can remember when I was in college, and back in those days we still had to circle the wagons at night in case of an attack, but why is this happening? Have we lost our manners? Have we lost our responsibility? Why?
That is a great question. I think it owes to a number of factors. Here's one that I can very quickly pin down. We now, in America, focus more on ideology than we do education. We focus more on, in other words, teaching students a narrow body of the right things to believe than we do cultivating them intellectually. So, the historic college campus, as you just alluded to in your own experience and in mine, I went to a school in Maine called Bowdoin College. It's a private liberal arts college, featured a lot of different viewpoints on the campus. You had professors of every conceivable belief system, and I loved that. I don't know about you, but I found that exhilarating.
Absolutely.
That kind of model is now out of vogue, and now on many elite college campuses and universities, for example, you'll have 95 to 98% of the faculty voting Democrat. That's just one little sign of how campus culture has changed, and one viewpoint now rules the roost at these schools. And one quick thing, Zeb, I teach at Southern Seminary and Boyce College in Louisville, Kentucky. I don't have a problem with a school having a viewpoint, with coming from a Christian perspective or some other kind of perspective. But these schools that I've mentioned all are not creedal. They're supposed to be open to all comers. There's not supposed to be one understanding of orthodoxy that's promoted. They're supposed to be tolerant of all viewpoints, and in fact, they're not.
Well, let me ask you this, Owen, and I don't want to get too far from the piece, but I value your opinion on this. Has conservative thought and conservative conversation, has it died, and is it ready to be buried?
Well, the funny thing about that question is I actually think conservative thinking is alive and well. I think that, now, here's the thing. You can't really find conservative thinking on a lot of these campuses, but I am not one to blame that on conservatives. I think it's because of the narrowing of the American mind, as Alan Bloom called it in the mid-'80s, the closing of the American mind, if you will. But I actually see a pretty thriving conservative intellectual movement. Think of a guy like Paul Ryan, for example, one of our leading conservative politicians. He was not trained in conservative thought from an early age, but he comes across Ayn Rand and some others, libertarians in that stream, and then encounters conservatives and some Christian thinkers, and he's meaningfully Catholic today. Paul Ryan gives me hope. His story is one of thousands, even millions, I think, out there of students who genuinely did want to ask the big questions of life and wanted to seek out answers for themselves. They didn't just want, in other words, the right code of thought to believe. And Ryan encountered this conservative tradition, Russell Kirk and others, and look, now we have this amazing politician. So I believe that can definitely happen in our day and is happening in our day. Unfortunately, though, it's getting harder and harder for that to happen at many of our schools because they're foreclosing intellectual options and only allowing liberal thinkers to play.
Yeah, but Owen, I want to go back to the original point of our conversation, though, about Christians and Christianity. And again, I'm not trying to be simplistic because I'm proud of my Christianity. I'm proud of my faith. But why, in the last 40 years, has there been such a decided hatred against Christianity? Why are they so afraid of Christianity?
Yes. Well, I actually think that we have to go back further than 40 years. I think we have to go back to the American founding, honestly. And we have to recognize that America has always been a somewhat uneasy coalition of the Enlightenment and the First Great Awakening. In other words, religious people who have some sort of tradition that they adhere to religiously, but then also people who were not overly religious. So in other words, America has been kind of a union of George Whitefield or perhaps John Witherspoon and also Ben Franklin / Thomas Jefferson. For a long time, those two parties, the very religious and the not very religious, coexisted in this country and had a common understanding, for example, of concepts like freedom and liberty and brotherhood and equality. But that's very much changed, and that Enlightenment portion of America has secularized. And it has divested itself of belief in the Christian heritage, any kind of connection to religion. And that's what we see with the sexual revolution in the 1960s. That is a secular, it's not just a sexual revolution, right? It's a secular revolution, but it's only making good on the seeds that already were planted in America way back when. So I look at those two poles, those two groups, as helping to explain the origins of America and also the problems of today. The religious in America have used to predominate in this country, and they've been largely booted out of the public square.
Except for, the obvious cases like Liberty University, where Christianity reigns supreme naturally. But when you talk about my old college, the University of Wisconsin, and then I transferred up to the University of Minnesota, I'm telling you something, Owen, it's not the same personality and the same complexion of students that when I went to school. There is a profound hatred of anyone like me that would believe and go to church on Sunday morning, kind of the old Saturday morning or Saturday evening Post cover of families getting together and going to church, families celebrating Thanksgiving, families going out and going to the park together. That's what they hate, and I can't understand why.
Yeah, well, I think you're exactly right. I think America has changed. I think that we are in a secularizing culture. We are in an increasingly hostile public square in terms of being people of faith. And we have to recognize this. We wish that we could turn back the clock in certain ways and go back to that culture. Sadly, we can't. But here's the thing, Zeb. We've got to know that Jesus has commissioned his church to be salt and light in every age. So that's true when, the Roman Empire is thriving and Constantine is giving Christians all sorts of protection in the 4th century, and it's true when other Roman emperors are cracking down on Christians. We have a commission. We need to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, and wherever we are, God has sent us to. And so things have changed. Many developments have taken place that are not happy. Don't hear me as being, cheerful about these things. But we've got to keep going, man. We've got to keep fighting. I mean, we recognize that Jesus triumphed over death and sin and hell by dying on a cross. So that's our banner, man. That's what we're after, even in our own day.
Absolutely, and I'd stand there and fight with you. But then I get stories that were just sent to me by my good friend back in Washington D.C. this morning that said Obama's Solicitor General admits religious colleges could lose tax-exempt status for opposing same-sex marriage. I mean, it's like we all have to adhere to their filth and their rhetoric, or we're going to lose the freedoms in this country. My goodness. Owen, I'm ready to stand up and fight a lot more than just verbally. This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I understand, and I sympathize, and, I'm from Maine. I'm from New England. I almost went to Gordon College, for example, in Massachusetts, the school that has gotten in a ton of hot water because it does not endorse same-sex behavior. And so I see all the same trends that you are seeing. But I also know, Zeb, that there are a lot of good people still out there. Yeah. And I believe that there's a silent majority of Americans who actually are more or less conservative on these issues, but they're afraid and they're being pushed back against the fence. And I think we need programs like this. We need people to be out there on the front lines, not just identifying what's happening, but also calling people, as you're doing, as I'm trying to do in my own little corner of things, to get active. I heard Jim Daly say, of Focus on the Family, at a conference recently, that just 30 million evangelicals out of 80 million in America voted in the last election.
Yeah.
In other words, forget changing the heart of the culture, right? If people would just get off the couch and register to vote and drag themselves to a voting booth, this country might change overnight. But the will of the people is low. Morale is flagging. People think that this is inevitable, and I am here to say, for one, as a young man, that this is not inevitable. America does not have to slide. The church does not have to be swallowed. Religious conviction does not have to die. And I think more people need to say that.
And I couldn't agree with you more. As a matter of fact, you got me all pumped up, ready to put my helmet on and get in the game. I mean, I'm ready to go. But, last night I saw something that is a little bit like what we're talking about this morning. Last night in Baltimore, Maryland, I saw the community. I saw moms, I saw dads, I saw business owners walk out on the street and turn their backs to the police, not in a show of defiance, but in a showing to the other bad thugs in the area. If you want to get to our police, you're going to have to go through us first. And that's what we have to do. We have to say enough is enough. If you want to get through the problem, you've got to go through us first. We've got to start demanding. We've got to start standing up, and no more sitting in the house watching TV.
Man, I love it. Now you're getting me fired up. Now it's my turn to put on my helmet. I mean, I could not agree more. I do not think the core of society are politicos telling us what to do at any level. The core of society, as Alexis de Tocqueville understood rightly in the mid-19th century when he toured this fledgling land, the core of American society is the people. That's the remarkable thing about the American experiment. We haven't looked to a Napoleonic dictator or, set of technocratic experts to tell us what to think and to believe and how long our hair can be and these sorts of things. We have had a lively national cultural life because of individual citizens who do not look to the government to solve all their problems. Sadly, though, there has been a spirit of government dependency that has crept into the American body politic over the last 40, 50, 60, 70 years. And I think what you are saying, what you saw in Baltimore, is exactly what needs to happen. We need people to recover their sense of community and their sense of agency, that their hands are not tied, that if there's a riot outdoors, I mean, get your gun. Hopefully that's not outlawed, or at least get something that you can protect yourself with. Link arms with some like-minded citizens and get out there and oppose evil. And that's what's happening.
But there's
a counter-narrative that we don't always think about or hear about. But you are exactly right. Good people remain. There's a lot of ground left to be fought yet.
Well,
we need to fight it.
There's also another sense of responsibility. And, that one mom in Baltimore, Owen, I hope you saw that video. Because her son, 16 years of age, had donned all the black clothes and the black mask and the black backpack, and he had been one of the rioters going out after school throwing rocks and bottles at the police. That mom was watching TV, recognized that was her son. She stormed out of the house, and I mean in no uncertain terms. She grabbed that student and she said, "You get back in the house." She slapped him. She let him know she was still the boss, and he is going to know and respect that his mother cared enough about him and his future to get him off the streets where he could have gotten killed and get back in the house and learn that life has a lot more to offer than being a punk and a thug.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that is exactly right. And when we see that sort of action taking place, we cheer it. We also note that it was a mother doing that. And we grieve a little bit because we recognize that a part of what has happened in this country, both at the white-collar level in the suburbs, the hoity-toity suburbs, and also in the inner city and everywhere in between, is that men have retreated from public life.
Yeah.
A lot of our problems, I think, owe to a lack of courageous men. Men, not simply who will speak up with a megaphone, but men who will be godly and virtuous in their own home, who will serve their church, who will build a vocation and a career, who will venture out of doors when they hear something in the neighborhood, not just in their house, but when they hear something in the neighborhood that sounds fishy. America has been built off the backs of those kind of men. And that race of man is not dead. We are so thankful that there are women who will step in the gap and who will raise children as single mothers, but we need to see an awakening of men gripped by the gospel of Jesus Christ who do not flake out and abandon their families, abandon their wives, abandon their children, but stay in the fight in order to promote the truth and to love their neighbor. That's the only thing I see missing from that picture in Baltimore.
Well, there's so many parts of this pizza. It's the church leadership up at the pulpit. The pastor's got to inspire the people. The pastor has got to create a fire that these people are going to carry outside that church and carry with them till the next Sunday. It's the school leadership. It's the moms and dads. You know what? We're all guilty of not really being patriots to this country, our freedom, and our religion because we've dropped the ball.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, at every level, society has to function as a cooperation of diverse people. It's not a central planner telling everybody what to do.
Yeah.
It's what you were just identifying. It's people in all different walks of life partnering together. But the heart of all of this, Zeb, has been for centuries in America and in the West, if you want to think of England, for example, the heart of this kind of public life has been faith.
Yeah.
Not just Christian faith, not just evangelical faith, but if we're going to shift and slide into some sort of atheistic, agnostic country, then we should only expect to see these things change all the more. Now, I should lastly say, my goal isn't to have America be a certain level of flourishing. My goal is to equip men and women to love Jesus Christ and serve him all the way to death. But I don't want America to go down in flames. I want it to thrive and be healthy. And so that's my interest here. And I hope that what you say comes true, that various members of society will find their voice, speak up, and act on behalf of love of neighbor.
Absolutely. Boy, I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm putting the shoulder pads on and I'm hitting the door at 11 o'clock when this show's over. Owen Strachan, God bless you, and please come back.
I would love to. Thank you so much for the stimulating conversation, Zeb.
All right, sir. God bless. Thank you so much. There is a very, very sharp young man, and I just absolutely am proud to have him on my show. He wrote a great piece called No Free Speech for Christians at some of America's best universities, and it's very well written. Thank you very much, Owen Strachan. Appreciate it. Whew, that was good. I enjoyed that. Got me all fired up. Put me in, Coach. I'm ready to knock that linebacker right on his keister. We're going to take a little break in a few minutes, but before we do, I want to remind you about our friends at Streamline Precision with Tim and the rest of the crew. Call this number, 431-7314. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. You know, I got to tell you, too, they've got all the big, heavy equipment that maybe you need dirt hauled in. Well, they've got those big side dump trucks. And then maybe right now you're planting in one field and you got to figure out how to get those big, heavy rigs over to another field. Well, they've got the big rigs for hauling all your big farm equipment from point A to point B. Hey, they can do it. They can put up all your on-the-farm grain storage. They can put up all your farm buildings. I'm telling you, they're good. They're a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. Please call them for an estimate today of what you need. Tim Vaughn, 431-7314. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. And they are the professionals building for you. You better believe it. Let's see. I'll tell you about that right after. Oh, I can do that one right now. I got to do this real quick. On Thursdays, we have a program called Gardening for Idiots. It's named after me. I'm not a very good gardener, but I'm learning. And if you have questions about gardening, be sure and send them over to zebattheranch@hotmail.com. And the show is sponsored by Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. That's Thursdays at 10:30 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Brought to you by Vicky's Country Garden. Absolutely great. We're going to send it back over to our main studios, and we will be back with our next guest in about 3 minutes.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Welcome back. Hey, we're going to have a ripping good time Friday night at the grand reopening of Duck Ugly's, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Don't miss it. Jack Bates, new owner and manager. I'm going to be over there. The fun starts at 5 o'clock on Friday night. They're going to have music with good old Ned Carter. I love his songs. And then followed up by Barton and Bowler. I love their songs. You're going to have great food. They're going to roast a pig with all the trimmings, and the tickets are only $10 a plate, and you get a raffle ticket with the $10, and you might win a flat screen TV. All of this is a lot of fun for the grand reopening at Duck Ugly's, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Come on over Friday night. We'll see you there. Maybe we can talk our next guest into flying out, get on a jet, come on out. John LeBoutelier, good morning. How are you?
Hello, Zeb. If I had a jet, I'd be there.
Well, yeah, but with all the money you make at Fox News, why don't you just charter one?
Well, if I made any money, I would. And anyway, I'm going to a concert in New York on Friday. This is this Friday we're talking about, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I just bought the tickets last night. I'm going to Eric Clapton at Madison Square Garden for his 70th birthday celebration.
Oh, my goodness. Now, that would be good. Yeah, I'm assuming that you and I are pretty much the same age, of the same generation. And old John, Eric is going to be 70 years old. Wow.
Yeah. But I'm sure his guitar playing is going to be, as usual, fantastic.
I'm sure it will.
I've never seen him live. I mean, I was telling this friend of mine who I'm taking to this famous nice lady, I was telling her all the groups he's been in. I mean, he started out, as I remember, he was in the Yardbirds.
Yep.
And they were big for a while.
Yep.
And Cream was huge.
Yep. My goodness.
He did a little playing with the Beatles, a group called the Beatles. He played with them.
Yeah, I wonder whatever happened to those guys. Did they ever have a successful record?
For the Beatles?
Yeah, I'm kidding. Yes.
Well, one of the guys in the group had a big group later on called Wings. I don't know if the Beatles did anything.
Yeah, he was married to a blonde for a while.
I tell people, Zeb, all the time, if they're young, and I'm glad they're happy and young and all, they have no conception of how big the Beatles were, and in many ways still are. There's nothing like the Beatles, and there never will be anything like them. They were so huge.
Do you remember, John, when they were on the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time? I remember sitting in the den with my parents, having a hamburger on Sunday night, watching the Ed Sullivan Show and introducing the Beatles for the first time, and boy, did they take off from there.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you a funny story. I've read a lot of books about the Beatles and followed them and everything. And that was February 64, and when they went on Ed Sullivan. Well, in September 63, Zed, they were unknown. You and I hadn't heard of them yet. But they were big already in England and the European continent. They were, they'd already had... I Want to Hold Your Hand, She Loves You were already big hits over there, but not here. And in September 63, George Harrison comes over to Cleveland on a little short vacation to visit his sister Louise, who was living there. And while he's in Cleveland, he goes to a couple of record stores and asks, are you carrying records by this group called the Beatles? And the record store guys, never heard of the Beatles, said, no, we don't have any records by those guys. So when he gets back to England, he tells the rest of the group, he said, man, we got a long way to go. They've never heard of us in America. I don't know that we're ever going to make it over there. And 4 months later is Ed Sullivan, and watch out.
Oh, my. I tell you what, John, it's a real refresher course to have you on the program. Of course, the gentleman I'm talking to, John LeBoutelier, former U.S. Congressman from New York, and author, and I think he's done everything on Fox News, of course, with the political insiders. Let me ask you, John, politics is absolutely falling apart. I mean, we're looking at, I think, the worst stage of American politics since the Revolutionary War. Everybody's considered that they're part of graft and corruption. A lot of these guys and gals shouldn't be in office. What's going on? Give us some common sense back there, would you please?
Well, first of all, I agree with you. I don't think there's ever been a period where politics overall has been as low as it is now. And I'll tell you why, is that in the past, when we've had bad periods, like the Watergate period, that was the Republican scandal. When the Republicans went down, the Democrats went up. And there have been other times when the Democrats have had problems and they've gone down, and conversely, like on a seesaw, the Republicans have gone up. What we now have is a whole new deal, which is they're both down. People don't like either party, don't trust either party. As you said, they think everybody's in on graft and all. And you look at registering, voters now much more register as an independent than they do in either major party because they see the parties as corrupt entities, which I think the parties are corrupt. I'm a Republican, and I think the Republican leadership is terrible, but it doesn't mean that every politician is corrupt. They're not. Most of them are good, but the system is out of whack, and therefore it taints everybody.
Mm-hmm. You had a headline that I thought was really good, and I want you to explain what you meant by this. The coming GOP bloodbath, demolition derby, circular firing squad. What in the world did that headline mean?
Zeb, do you think that's a strong enough headline?
I think you got a little emotion evoked in there, yeah.
Yeah, what it's referring to is what's coming this fall and next winter in the race for the presidential nomination in the Republican Party. Because something has changed that we've never had before. And what that is every candidate for president now is going to have a huge amount of money donated to them through these super PACs from these billionaires who, because of the Citizens United legal decision in the Supreme Court, these billionaires can give unlimited amounts of money basically to any candidate they want. And so we had this announcement 3 weeks ago out of nowhere that Ted Cruz, who had just announced for president, that Ted Cruz had a guy named Robert Mercer, who lives 20 minutes from where I'm talking to you from. Robert Mercer, who I'd never even heard of this guy, has given Ted Cruz $31 million. 31 million, Zeb. So that is going to change everything because Ted Cruz now has a lot of money to spend on commercials and campaigning and all. And so Jeb Bush, who's already got a lot of money coming in because he's the establishment candidate, normally, the way these things have worked, the establishment guy has all the money, the conservatives have all the heart and soul of the party, but they have no money. Mm-hmm. And over time, the money wears down the conservatives, and that's why we always nominate these boring establishment loser candidates. This time, the conservatives are also going to have plenty of money. And therefore, with a lot of money in the race on both sides, the establishment side, the Tea Party conservative side, they're going to go after each other, and they're going to have what I described as a circular firing squad, rip-roaring, negative commercial warfare thing, and I don't know who's going to be left standing when it's over.
John, let me throw this at you. I've got a caller with a question, but give me a short answer on this. I honestly believe, and I've told my audience, that if Jeb Bush is the Republican nominee and Hillary Clinton is the Democratic nominee, I think we're going to see the worst turnout for election numbers ever in the history of this country because people don't want that name from each side running again. I think we'll see less than 20% at the polls. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know what number it would be because presidential races, you're going to get a pretty big turnout, but it's going to be lower than normal. I agree with that. And I think that people will be sickened. But then there's another possibility. If it's Jeb, which I can't imagine Jeb winning the Republican nomination. I don't see it. But let's say he did, and Hillary's the Democratic nominee. I will almost guarantee you, under that scenario, there will be a third candidate in that race, the new version of a Ross Perot, running against both of these establishment figures. And this candidate could win because this candidate will say to the country, we can't keep going down this same road all the time. Can't have either a Clinton or a Bush or a Clinton. My God, they are the reason we're in trouble in this country.
Absolutely.
If you want to change it, you got to blow these people out of here and get a new thing. And that's a possibility.
Absolutely. Caller, go ahead quickly with your question. You're on the air.
Yes, I was just kind of curious about, not to change the subject at all, but on this CSI bringing all these CSI places, bringing all these hearings into the country. I was wondering if this person can elaborate on that.
All the refugee programs, I'll have John address that. Thank you very much for your call. I appreciate it. John, the caller's interested, and it's happening here in southern Idaho. We're having a refugee program through our local college that is bringing in literally thousands of people that we don't know their backgrounds. We don't know anything about them. We're offering them the opportunities for jobs and housing and education, more so than we ever afforded our own children. And this refugee program, I think personally, is going to cause a lot of problems because we don't know the backgrounds, and it's been linked to possibly ISIS and Al-Qaeda also trying to infiltrate these programs. What do you know about it, and how concerned are you?
Well, I don't know a lot. I don't know much about this specific one, but I know in general this whole system of how people come here now, legally and illegally, is out of control, and the government is undermining the security of the country by refusing to seal the southern border, by encouraging the children from El Salvador, Guatemala, by law, they're allowed to come here. And they are coming here, and they're overwhelming many school districts around the country.
Right.
And then you get this type of program that the caller's asking about. It's all a disaster. It's a disaster, and no one now in the political system dares talk about how to fix it. And because PO somebody who supports them.
Absolutely.
And the Republicans, I'm a conservative Republican. Our position should be as follows. We're not going to talk about anything to do with the people that are here already who came here illegally and all that. We're not going to even talk about it until the southern border is sealed up like a drum.
Bingo.
I don't care if we have to use the army down there, Zeb, but
I
that
agree.
border, because you mentioned ISIS, you mentioned, or you didn't mention, but if you remember back after 9/11, there were reports of Al-Qaeda coming across the border.
Yes.
How do we know what the hell's going on down there?
Amen.
They have not sealed the border up for a reason. The Democrats want people coming in here illegally because it gives them a chance to get new voters down the line who will be Democrats. And half the Republican Party doesn't want to stop the illegals because it's a source of cheap labor for their business. And both sides are disgraceful on this thing. We should be thinking of America and who is coming into this country, for God's sakes. We should have a right as the people of America to say who comes into our country. It's a privilege to be here. Not a right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you don't have a right to break your way into America.
You know, John, in that regard, it has been said that this new free trade agreement that Obama is pushing and really wanting to have as soon as possible, it's going to open the floodgates even further for more illegal aliens to come into this country and follow basically the free trade agreement, trying to get jobs here in the United States. That's going to be severe, I think, for our employment roles. Why? Why is this government trying to push for that kind of an agreement?
Yeah, the thing is just beyond belief to me. And I remember, NAFTA in 93, I think it was. It was 92 or 93, when Ross Perot was running. He'd been running, and then he was debating Al Gore and Larry King. He used to talk about NAFTA, and he'd say there's a giant sucking sound that's going to come from NAFTA.
Right.
And he was saying the sucking was the sucking of jobs out of America down into Mexico. Now, I don't know that that's happened so much as the sucking of Mexicans into America.
Right.
And so you never know how these agreements are really going to end up affecting things. But, and I'm not an expert on this trade deal. I don't really know. But I'm nervous about it because when I see the establishment rushing to do something, I go, what is in it for them? I don't trust them.
Let me ask you one final question here this morning, and you sit next to Pat Caddell and Doug Schoen. I've had both on my program. I've had Doug on my program, pardon me. But, you know, when you talk about Hillary Clinton and you talk about her personality, you talk about the problems, you talk about the scandals, you talk about the past, how in the world can the Democrats expect to put her in the forefront and win? Have they got anybody lined up, maybe as a assistant coach that might come in at the last minute?
I would say they do not have anybody lined up. There are a couple of people who could get lined up. One, I can tell you, wants to be ready if Hillary implodes, and that's John Kerry.
Oh, boy.
He clearly is rushing this Iran nuke deal, Zeb, to... he believes he'll win the Nobel Peace Prize with his Iranian foreign minister counterpart. They'll get the Nobel Peace Prize for this nuke deal, and that'll be next winter. And John Kerry will have had normalization with Cuba. The left loves it. An emissions agreement with Red China. The left loves it. Iran nuke deal. The left loves it. And he's got his wife's money, which he can use to run a campaign. And if Hillary implodes, you're going to see John Kerry standing there saying, hey, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Foreign policy is going to be at the center of the 2016 campaign. Who better than the Secretary of State, Senator, who almost beat Bush in 2004? Who better than me to be the nominee?
Oh, my goodness.
That's in his head what he's going to do.
Let me ask you one name and respond to this. Of the Democrats that I think have common sense and that know how to run an energy program and know about the needs of Americans, West Virginia's Joe Manchin. What about somebody like him?
Couldn't get nominated. Too conservative. That party has gone way left. You have to be really lefty to be the nominee, and Manchin is not. That's why we like Manchin, because he's a moderate, middle-of-the-road, common-sense Democrat, of which there are very few. And he's been the governor, and he's in his second term in the Senate, and he's tremendous. But he could not get nominated by today's Democratic Party. He's conservative.
Well, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your time. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure and tune in on Fox News. The political insiders, Pat Goodell, Doug Schoen, and John LeBoutelier. And John, a former United States congressman from New York, and I love his writings. John, thanks. God bless you, and come back soon.
Thank you so much, Zeb. I'll be on anytime you want me.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
You betcha. Very, very interesting gentleman. And like I said, he's on the Political Insiders every Sunday on Fox News, John LeBoutelier. And he's got a real interesting approach to politics. And quite frankly, I wished he'd run again for maybe some of the higher offices of this land. He knows what he's talking about. Oh, my goodness, I've got to get the weather on. And I can see old wheels going over there. When are you going to get the weather on, Zeb? Well, I'm sorry. Here we go. And it's brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, they sell taste one bite at a time. They're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. And they've got that $300. $300. That's all it is for all the beef, the pork, the chicken, the cheese. It's a tax return meat package. And it's delicious. Delicious. They've got things in there like 4 New York steaks and rump roasts and ground beef patties, and they've got pork chops and bacon and chicken and cheese. Oh, it's delicious. Scarro's Meats, selling taste one bite at a time. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for Zeb at the ranch. Pretty simple weather for today and for the rest of the week. Sunny. Low to mid-70s for the daytime high. That's all the way through the week. There isn't really that much more I could share with you. That it's going to be a lot of sun and very little clouds with daytime highs in the 70s. That's about as simple as you can get. I'll be arriving in the Magic Valley of South Central Idaho. If you are interested in a photo session with my photography, you can get a hold of Zeb, or you can get a hold of me at 702-250-2114. Portrait headshot. They are available. Senior pictures are available. I'm coming up for a week, spend a week with my son Joseph as we go watch the movie Avengers. Also, too, with Mother's Day coming, a family portrait for Mother's Day, I can make sure that happens and I can have it done and printed for you before Mother's Day so you can present it to Mom. So give me a holler. You can contact Zeb or you can contact me. And oh, by the way, enjoy the nice sunny weather with a high of 71. The only weather you got.
There you go, Michael Rogers weather, and it's brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Delicious. And they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number 324-7657. They do sell taste one bite at a time. Absolutely great. A couple of notes here real quick before I do my last commercial and we kind of adios for the day. I want to remind you that next week on the 8th and 9th will be the National Pioneer Hall of Fame presenting the Pioneer Farm Days, and it's going to be from 10 to 4 each day, the 8th and the 9th, and it's at 950 East Declo. Ray Bagby and the rest of the folks. It's going to be a wonderful occasion. I'm going to try to run over there. Free to the public, fun for the whole family, Pioneer Farm Days. And then also that it was mentioned in the paper this morning, and I wanted to hit on it anyway, the ESPN E60 broadcast about A.C. Shaw, the coach of the Dietrich Blue Devil girls basketball team, going to be featured tonight, according to what we have here. Now, I don't know if this is 5 p.m. Eastern or 5 p.m. our time, but check listings for that program as they do a great, great story about the Dietrich coach, A.C. Shaw. It's going to be on TV on ESPN tonight. Oh, my, let's tell you a little bit about our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with the big spring tire sale. Oh, yes, sir. You getting ready to go to Aunt Martha's and Uncle Fred's, or ready to see Grandma down there in Tucumcari, New Mexico? Well, I'll tell you what, if you need tires, now's the time to buy. They've got their tires at this big spring sale, prices you can't afford to pass up. Check out the Ultra Z900 passenger car tire, all-season design, and up to an 80,000-mile warranty depending on the size. And they've got for your pickups and SUVs, the Wildcat AT2. They've got all the tires for your trailers, your boat trailers, your horse trailers. My goodness, get in there today. And don't forget to convenient credit for tires and services at all 7 locations. The best in brake service. I mean the best. And the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, but always the best in service. They really take care of you. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, the old Seahawk fan. You stop in and see the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Okay, let's take a look here. Some of the great things that we've got planned for tomorrow on Thursday. Of course, we've got the Chamber of Commerce report. We've got Dog Nation with Officer Ken Mort, really a good guy. One of my favorite segments, Rita Ramsey is going to be on at 9:30. And then, of course, the Cassia County School Days at 10:12, and then followed by our Business Salute. And then, of course, at 10:30 tomorrow morning, we're going to have Vicky's Country Garden with the Gardening for Idiots program named after me. And then at 10:45, we're going to be talking to some folks. I believe it's going to be Tim Vaughn calling in regarding the Relay for Life. So we've got a whole bunch of things tomorrow to take care of on Zeb at the Ranch. Another quick note, and this was sent to me, Minidoka County will be having their annual Boat Inspection Day on Saturday, May 16th from 8 to 5, and this will be held at Lake Walcott, and admission to the park is free. Deputies will be on hand for boat safety and boat inspections. There you go. Until tomorrow morning at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch will have you tune in either at KBAR 1230 AM or live on the internet, zebbell.com. And the way things were are the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.